Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Militant Negro Network on YouTube. I am Mr. Militant Negro. You are now at my network, a place where truth, facts, and honest thoughts and opinions are spoken. Welcome, enjoy yourselves, and please subscribe. Gender Identity Restrooms. That seems to be a topic in the news currently that is gaining a lot of attention, a lot of discussion, quite a bit of controversy, mostly because our dumb fuck idiot of a president, Donald J. Trump, is taking care of his agenda to reverse and repeal and do away with many of the things past President Barack Hussein Obama put into play. On February 22nd of 2017, the Department of Education and Justice issued a statement withdrawing the Obama administration's guidance that required schools to permit access to sex-segregated facilities, meaning bathrooms and locker rooms, based on gender identity. What that means is a person who identifies as being female or male should be allowed and permitted by law to use the restroom that identifies with the gender they identify with. In other words, if you are a man who identifies yourself as a female, you must be allowed to use a female restroom, even though you have male organs, and vice versa. If you are a female who identifies yourself as a male, you must be allowed to use a male restroom. Donald Trump figured that it was okay to reverse this. The Trump administration statement said that the Obama administration guidance had not contained extensive legal analysis, explaining how it was consistent with Title IX, which prohibits sex discrimination, and that the Trump administration intends to offer due regard for the primary role of the states and local school districts in establishing educational policy. This statement obviously calls into question the Trump administration's position on the Affordable Care Act Section 1557 non-discrimination regulations, released in the spring of 2016. And I know that's all a bunch of gobbledygook, but that non-discrimination regulation prohibits discrimination based on gender identity. The February 22nd statement made by the Department of Education and Justice itself has no immediate and direct effect. However, on the 1557 rule from the Affordable Care Act, the Trump administration statement withdraws and rescinds a Department of Education guidance document. That still sounds like gobbledygook, I know. What it means is Donald Trump is taking his time, but using his efforts to reverse the fact that transgender people, or just people who identify with a sex they are not, the opposite sex of what is on their birth certificate, they cannot go into restrooms for another sex different than what's on their birth certificate. And I know this is confusing, but to break it down really simply for you, I'm a man. Now, if I identified myself as being a female, I would be able to use a female restroom under Barack Obama's guidance. What Donald Trump wants to do is stop that, so that even though I'm a man, I may feel like I'm a woman, I may think I'm a woman, I may consider myself a woman, but I can't use a female restroom. Now, I'm going to say something right now that will not be popular with the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, questionable, and one community. And I support that community 150 million% in their endeavors to be equal and to be granted the rights of every human being. But I do not agree with this bathroom policy of allowing shared bathrooms unless it is clearly marked as a multiple gender bathroom. What I mean by that is, I don't want a woman coming into a men's room to use the facilities. I don't know how a woman feels about a man going into the women's facilities to use the restrooms because I'm not a woman. But I don't want a woman in my male bathroom using it. But now what I don't object to are bathrooms, separate restroom areas clearly marked as multiple gender identity restrooms with a little sign on the door of a man, a woman, and whatever icon you want to use for a gender identity individual or a transgendered individual. Now, once we establish these types of restrooms in all facilities that need them, there will be no more problem about guidances and transgendered identities and gender identity. You put a sign on the door saying this is a gender identity bathroom, so people know that once they go in there of their own free will, they may be sharing it with a man thinking he's a woman or a woman believing herself to be a man. As long as people are warned about what they're about to get into, about what's going to affect them in a few seconds after they step through that door, I think they'll be okay with that. They just have to be given the opportunity and allowed to make the choice. I don't think you push this down anybody's throat. I don't think you force this on anyone. But these people who are transgender and who have an identity crisis issue, they deserve a proper facility, a proper restroom. They deserve that. That is a civil human right. And as we address these issues that come before us, as we move forward in time, remember, this is not the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. This is 2017. There are things facing us as a world that didn't face us 30 years ago or 10 years ago. We have to deal with these new things as they come before us. Gender identity bathrooms is an issue. It needs to be addressed. You can't have idiots just ignore it or say, fuck it. It must be handled. The issue, the problem must be solved. And I have just given you a solution. Put a sign on the door that says gender identity restroom. But don't take away the men's room or the ladies' room. You add a third restroom. If that's too expensive for you, I don't know what to tell you. I truly don't. Because at one point it was too expensive to have a bathroom that catered to disability people, the disabled. Now having disabled facilities and access to disabled things like a disabled restroom is the law. It was done. People did it. Businesses did it. facilities did it. Now everywhere you go, you see disabled signs, meaning the disabled can use this restroom. Same thing needs to be done for gender identity. Put a sign up. Give them a room with access to facilities to use a restroom with the sign on the door clearly saying, if you come in here, no telling what gender you may see standing, sitting, washing their hands next to you. It's a simple solution, truly. And another thing that I am concerned about to some respects is there is a young man, a Gavin Grimm, who is a transgender teen from Virginia, fighting his school board for the right to use the bathroom that matches his gender identity. Mr. Grimm's case, or Gavin Grimm's case rather, I don't want to call him a Mr. because I'm not really sure what he considers himself. Gavin Grimm's case is expected to be heard by the Supreme Court in late March. Think about that. Gavin Grimm, a transgender teen from Virginia, a high school student, is going before the Supreme Court, or his case is, to be decided about his fight to be able to use a restroom that identifies with his gender. This issue is not going away, people. It's not going to vanish because we want to ignore it. It's not going to just disappear. It has to be addressed. It has to be handled. The problem has to be solved. And the simplest way to do this is print up a fucking sign and put it on a bathroom door. But do not take away the right for people who are not into sharing their bathroom facilities with someone of the opposite gender. So instead of having a men's and a ladies' restroom, you now have a men's, a ladies', and a gender identity restroom. It's a simple solution. Okay? Doesn't take a lot of brain power to do this. Now, how you get the school system to fall into line and do this, I'm not sure, because we are talking expenses. If you have to build a third bathroom all across the United States of America, that is going to be an expense many schools and many businesses cannot do. So maybe we could stop sending $10 million a day to Israel so they can oppress Palestine, keep some of that $10 million a day money we send to Israel, keep it in the American budget, and build bathrooms for gender identity citizens. That's a suggestion, because I know people are going to scream, we ain't got the money for that. Well, hey, stop sending your fucking money to Israel. Stop spending your money to fund foreign wars. Keep that money in the American budget and spend it on creating bathrooms, bathroom renovation. Add a third bathroom everywhere in America. Problem goes away. And you have the money to do it. If you stop sucking the sweaty balls of Israel and keep your money here at home. Once again, I don't mean to upset or offend anyone in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questionable, and one community. But I don't personally want to use a bathroom with a woman who thinks she's a man or who identifies herself as being a man. Not that she's going to do anything to me. Not that she threatens me. But I'm old school, and a restroom for men is the last bastion of maleness. And I don't want to share it with a woman thinking, identifying herself as a male. I want to be around guys in a restroom. Actually, I want to be by myself in a restroom. If possible, and I have to use a restroom, I like the ones that have one stall, one toilet, one sink, and you can lock the door. I don't like multiple people hanging around me in a bathroom. But I digress. I don't know how women feel about using a restroom with a man in that restroom who identifies as a woman. Have no clue how they feel about that. I do know that there is such a thing that exists as co-ed bathrooms, and I never understood how those actually work. But there are co-ed bathrooms, especially in some business offices and business buildings. But hey, what you do in the workplace is your business. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I have given you a solution to this issue. Put a sign on the door after you build a third restroom. That's all I got to say about this. I hope I haven't offended anybody. If I have, trust me, it ain't the first time and it's not going to be the last time. Everybody have a great November. Have a great February. It's Black History Month. Be well, stay safe, and at all costs, if you're a person of color or mentally ill and you want to live and survive, avoid the police. I'm out of here. Namaste.